Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing good and everything is going perfect. So, today the topic of discussion would be how to land your first job in the NHS. So, I recently started working as a doctor here in the NHS, and I will be sharing my journey with you and talking about the basic steps of trying to find a job. So, if you've been following this channel, I've made a series of videos about the whole process, starting off with PLAB 1, then PLAB 2, then your GMC registration, and then your license. And once you do have your license in hand, then sky's the limit. You can apply for any job anywhere you want, and it's just a matter of some luck, some time, some effort, and you will land a job soon. So, don't worry. So, how do you proceed with that? Well, first of all, there are two websites that are your best friends. Number one, nhsjobs.com or NHS Beta because they are interlinked, and trackjobs.com. Now, you have to go onto these websites and you have to create a profile there. And mind you, that takes time because, I would recommend at least give it 1 day or 2 days, if not more, because that is how you describe yourself, that is how you talk about yourself, and you have to give it some time and some effort and some thought process. So make sure that you don't rush it. So, ideally, I would recommend is once you're applying for your GMC registration and your license and you're waiting for that, that is the time that you create some your profile on these websites, because that is when you have time. I did not do it and I regretted that because once I was applying for jobs, I had to create a profile there and I was taking a whole lot of time. So once you do have some time while you're waiting for your registration, that is the ideal time to create profiles on these websites. And because once you have created a profile, then you can apply easily for your jobs from there, because the applications that you fill out, the major chunk of that application will be taken from your profile. Obviously you have to tailor some its and bits here and there, but the major chunk will be from these profiles. So first step is go onto these websites and create a detailed profile there, including your education experience, your professional experience, your skills, your highlights, everything that you can talk about, you have to mention it there. So once you have created profiles onto these websites, the next step is how do you search for jobs. Well, there are certain keywords that you can use. First of all, what many people are doing, because if it's your first job with the NHS and all experience that you have back in your home countries, your internship, then you can apply as a junior clinical fellow. That is what most people do, and that is how most people start. You can also apply as a senior clinical fellow, and that's going to shortlist jobs, that require some more experience. But if your CV is attractive, you might be shortlisted. Even if you don't have experience for that, you might be shortlisted as a senior clinical fellow. And if they like you in the interview, they might offer you a job as a junior clinical fellow. So I would recommend is that don't be hesitant to sit in that interview and don't be hesitant to apply, because there's no harm in applying. So you can also apply as a senior clinical fellow, and if they like your CV, they might invite you for an interview. And if they like you in the interview, they might offer you a job as a junior clinical fellow. So apply as a senior clinical fellow as well. Then thirdly, you have to apply. You can apply for FI2 jobs, that are foundation year 2 jobs. That is very common. Then I've seen many people, they're having trouble finding jobs. They complain that they've been waiting for months and they're not able to find jobs. So what I would recommend is, in that case, if you're waiting for some time, you can also apply as a foundation year 1 doctor. That is not ideal because if you have done internship back in your home country, that is already foundation year 1. But you can also apply foundation year 1 here, and once it's all about getting your foot in the doorway, it's all about opening a door for yourself. So once you are in the system, once you have opened that door, you can easily leave that job in a few months and apply somewhere else. So if you're having trouble finding jobs, you can apply as a foundation year 1 doctor, gain some experience, and then leave that job and move on to the next level in a few months. So I would recommend trying foundation year 1 doctor jobs as well. Then you can always apply for trust grade doctor jobs. These are different jobs available in different trusts, and you can apply as a trust grade doctor. So once you have written these keywords, you have to choose your location. My advice would be, in the beginning, don't be location bound. Obviously everybody has their own circumstances. So if you're not, if your circumstances allow and you're moving from your home country the first time and you're not location bound, you have no restrictions about location, then my advice would be apply everywhere. So you can apply all over the UK and also in Scotland, because if you're location bound, then obviously the opportunities will be limited. But if you're not, then they're going to be more. So my advice would be, apply wherever you can, and then when even if it's not your preferred location, you can work for a few months there, and you can always change that after a few months, once you do have some NHS experience, because it's always the first job that's difficult. Once you have experience, the second job and thereafter, things become very easy. So it's always the first job that you do have some trouble finding. So once you do have your first job, and even if it's not in your preferred location, you can work for a few months, and then you can resign and change your location and move to your preferred town or city. So don't be location bound. If your circumstances allow, don't be location bound in the beginning. You can always move to your preferred location after a few months. And now, coming towards the most important part of your job profile that is going to shortlist you from other candidates and help you in landing a job. And that is your supporting information. That is how you talk about yourself, you describe yourself, and that is how basically the sale that you pitch. So that is very important, that you write a very good supporting information. And there are 3 or 4 points that you need to remember while writing that. Number one, be very natural. Do not copy paste it. If you've seen a colleague being shortlisted for an interview, don't ask them for their CV, and do not just copy paste their CV and change your name here and there. Do not do that. Do not copy paste templates from Google. There are templates that are available on Google. Do not just copy paste that and change your name and a few dates here and there, because your employer will know in a second that this is a template and it's copy pasted. So it's going to do more harm than good. Never do that. Be very natural. Follow your own style, follow your own English, and you can do it, because you have cleared exams, you have cleared English language tests, you have cleared PLAB 2. So you can write an essay about yourself for sure. So do not do the mistake of copy pasting anything. Never do that. Even if you feel that your grammar is a bit weak, or you're not very confident with it, there are many apps that you can use for your grammar, so that might help you a lot. But do not copy paste stuff. Number two would be organized. Do not follow a very haphazard pattern. Do not be disorganized. You're mentioning one point there, the other point here and there. Just don't do that, because it looks very bad. So be very organized. A good pattern that I like is, number one, you can tell them that why you're applying for this job. Number two is that what you can bring to this job or the department. And number three is you talk about your skills and what your qualities, and what how do you consider yourself the best match for this job. So that is how you talk about yourself in the supporting information, and follow a chronological order. For example, you can say in 2019 I was doing this. That is how I was polishing my skills, and talk about your professional growth in a very chronological order. That is very important. And number three, one point which I learned after a few rejections is that don't be humble in your supporting information. Don't, be very modest about your skills. If you think that you have a quality, if you think that you have done something, then flaunt about it, boast about it, talk about it in a way that you consider that you are the best match for this post. Because if you try to stay humble, I don't know, because I found out that employers say they don't find it attractive. So be very confident about your skills, flaunt them, talk about them. You must have some skill, but jokes apart. So once you do realize that this is your strength, then boast about it, talk about it in a way that you consider that this is what you consider is the best in me, and you can flaunt that. There is no harm in doing that. So I think these are the few tips and tricks here and there, and trust me, in the beginning it looks hard. I've seen people who are struggling for quite a few months, and I quite understand that. But it just takes some time, some effort, and everybody they get a job. So it is just a matter of a few weeks, and hopefully you will land a job soon. And if you need any sort of help, any questions at all, you can ask me in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to help. So I think that's about it, and I wish you all the best in your job hunt.